My whole concept of developing a pastured poultry business was that I'm a sixth-generation farmer from Wisconsin, and my grandmothers raised all the turkeys and the chickens and provided them for the community for quite a few generations on her family farm. But I always had an interest in them, even as a young kid. My grandma always told me that too, and my grandma loved chickens and stuff too. She always said, "Tommy, you know, you can get everything out of that chicken but the cluck. You know, you can use every part of them." And so I've always had an interest in chicken as a young kid. Take them to the fairs and been part of the family farm, along with our milking cows and our pigs and our sheep and all the other animals. But the pastured poultry thing came about. I was raising the meat chickens for a lot of years, and I couldn't, you know, I never really enjoyed that they weren't grazing that well. That I could put their water and their feed out further away from the shelter, and they might go out and get it, but they weren't really grazing that heavy or looking for the bugs. And then I really discovered it was more about the genetics of the birds that they've developed, where they're rather lethargic and they need their food. They are, I mean, these genetic birds developed in this country by the industries are food junkies. I mean, they have to have their food. They're growing so fast, too. So the pastured poultry concept came out of reading an article, and probably 23 years ago, that Joel Salatin had written about mobile shelters, putting birds in and actually physically moving them. So I've been really interested ever since then to really develop a model that would be family-friendly, farm-friendly, animal-friendly, and develop a real healthy bird in that process. And then that goes back to, I really believe people should consider putting birds on their very best property that they have on their farm to develop that soil, and then eventually just start rotating with organic vegetables, even to feed those birds, you know, your crops, because you need no inputs. So they'll take care of all your bugs, your bug larvae, your weeds, your weed seed, and you have all your inputs on there. Pastured poultry model is important for chickens because it has the ability to leave a chicken be a chicken, and a chicken needs to scratch, needs to sit, dust itself, it needs fresh greens, it needs to be searching for bugs. That's what a chicken's going to do. It'll search for what it needs, along with the good quality organic feed, so you're going to feed it too. So fresh air, sunshine, awesome diversified greens for those birds in the fields that they're on, and then along with the good grains. And you're developing a bird that actually has texture and flavor. And the bird lives a longer life than any other bird that's grown in the buildings on any other systems, organic or not. And they live as a happy bird. I think we need to support family farms. I think it's a critical time. I think it goes back to our culture. If we have a culture in this country, I think that's where agriculture comes from, and they've tried to take the culture out of that now and call it agribusiness. But I think the consumers is starting to catch up with this, and you see so much information and books and movies and things that are coming out that's really putting the consumer out there, and I think it's absolutely important that they have to be part of the process and support their local food in their community, and then support their farmers. But I'm real optimistic that things could change. We could actually find a culture in this country based maybe, it puts us more in touch with our communities, our food does, and we do that right in Socorro. There's some local people that have put together food dinners off of local food within the community. It's a real interesting thing to do, and they're doing it more. Farming has changed so much in 50 years too. I don't think the land prices are the biggest part of it. I think it's really your heavy machinery that you want to understand. A lot of people get into farming and they don't understand what they do need. And I think they should really do a lot of the work in a smaller, simpler way. Probably the first 3 and 4 years we were the only organic chicken available in the country. I mean, the stores were grateful, they loved us, they really seemed like they cared. But when it come down to the price and they had another option, you're out the door. It really never seemed to matter to them. Fortunately, we started marking our birds as Pollo Real right on. We always had our own label and everything, so the consumer identified that. And then we were doing farmers markets. We started farmers markets then too, and we found that they knew us already from that, rather than having the store label us too. So we went from there, and we started more direct marketing. It isn't about being the biggest or getting big or anything either. We really looked at it and survived it, and then brought it back down to a level that our family can really. We have time now. Actually, we went back to Wisconsin this summer for 2 weeks in the summer when we're busy here. That we can manage and come and go from, and it's very manageable size, and I think that's really important for a family farm too, to find a scale that works for the family. I think farming is part of all of us in this great country. I think farming is the base of, the longer I live, it's a base of our whole economic system, from everything I read and know. But if you've been fortunate enough to come through generations of farmers and still have your family farm or farming at all, it leaves a passion in you, a passion that you can, I guess I'm old enough, the old systems, that used to, the smaller broke down systems of production for pigs, pastured pigs was a norm when I grew up. We farrowed them in little V huts in the field and pastured those pigs out, and a lot of them too, where today, it's moved so fast within 50 years. It's just incredibly different, where it's just, and certainly the animal system. So I think my interest is in my grandmothers were always interested in the bird, and they always reminded me, Tommy, the smallest animal on that farm is going to make you the most money. It isn't that big hooved animal walking around out there. It's the smallest ones. Focus on them, attention on them. And I always did. I always loved birds, producing them for my mom, for my grandmothers, and it was a passion. And we just keep learning. I mean, every day that I'm here, we learn more every day, and I could write huge volumes on mistakes, no question. But it's the things that you learn out of all those mistakes. It's really, it's the most valuable lesson, and it's passion.